Howdy, I'm Sadie Mae and I am turning into a crazy plant lady, and it's tough going because my house is so dark. I have a corner in my living room that would look great with more plants in it. So when I heard of these light bulbs that you can get that simulate the same rays of the sun, I thought it'd be fun to build a pendant light that I can plug in because I do have an outlet nearby. So that's where this build starts. I want to give a big thank you to Sabertooth Power Carving Tools for sponsoring this video. I gathered all the materials I was going to need for this build, and I'll leave links in the description box below to everything that I used in case you want to make one for yourself. And then I snapped my fingers. And well, that doesn't work. I think it only works on TikTok. So I went ahead and pulled the scrap wood I had previously glued up to make a panel out of the clamps. I have a lot of straight lines in my house, and I've been slowly adding in some curves. So for this piece, we're going to start by cutting the panel into a circle, a 12-inch round circle. After marking the center, I went ahead and drilled a little pilot hole that my circle jig is going to set inside of. Then I set my circle jig for 6 inches since I want the total circle to be 12. From there, I put the pin into that center hole, and then I slowly lower the bit into the piece of wood and go around. I'm just taking very small passes, and I'll do this several times, lowering the bit each time I go around. If you lower the bit too much, your sawdust can get stuck in there and make it harder to spin. So just take it slow passes at a time. And for the last one, I added some sacrificial boards below it so I don't put a big circle in my workbench. Yay, we have a circle. After a little bit of sanding, then we can start actually fitting this piece for the light fixture hardware. But before that, I did lay out some lines that are going to help me with my carving later on. Once I had those, I tested a Forstner bit that I had. It's 1 5/8 inch Forstner bit, and it matched the light fixture hardware perfectly. So I went ahead and drilled a hole all the way through the piece. Then come to find out, the light fixture hardware was meant for a 1/2 inch thick board. Mine was about 1 inch. So I needed to make some sort of recess that it would fit into. If I would have thought about this before, I would have drilled this hole first and then the Forstner bit all the way through, because mine ended up being a little bit crooked and not directly in the center. So after using the hole saw, I then used the trim router again to clean up all the excess material that would give us a recess of about a 1/2 inch that the light fixture would fit into. Now that we know that the hardware fits, it's time to continue planning how we're going to carve this and make it awesome. At first I was just going to carve on one side of the board, but then I decided I wanted to go around the board and kind of make it wavy. So I laid out those lines and then got my die grinder, and I'm going to start this with a 2-inch ball nose burr in fine grit from Sabertooth. And if you're carving inside, I highly recommend getting some sort of dust scoop or dust collection to collect all that dust. And then one by one, I used that burr to create recesses of little wedges on both sides of the circle. I would do one side, flip it over, do the other side, and I would go about halfway down or half the thickness of the piece of wood. I did find starting on the right side of the wedge and working towards the left side helped me keep smoother and cleaner lines. But they were still a little rough, so I switched out the burr in my die grinder from the fine grit to a whisper grit. So this is the finest grit that Sabertooth offers, and that same 2-inch ball nose burr. And I'm going to use that to clean up any of the high rough spots on the piece. This is in real time, so carving is not fast. Usually going slow with very light pressure, I get the best results. So I just slowly go through each one, kind of rounding over the edges, and this will totally make sanding easier or less of it, the more time I spend doing this correctly right now. Here's a close-up after the whisper burr and before the whisper burr. So there's a huge difference there. Once I was done, I went over it with a sander. I did do a lot of hand sanding as well to round over the edges. And then I wanted to add some texture to my piece. So my new favorite thing is to wire wheel finish them. I did this same finish on some shelves that I have in a bookshelf that's going to be in the same space. So I'm just continuing the look on this piece. And I'm going over it in the pie-shaped pattern. So I'm not going with the grain, I'm going with the pie-shaped direction. And then last step before assembly is to put a clear coat on here just to protect it. And I'm just using some matte polyurethane. Once that was dry, it was time for assembly. And assembly is super easy. Basically, we just stick the light fixture in and screw on the other side. I have the recess facing upwards so you won't see that when it's hung. I added my light bulbs, and these light bulbs are awesome because these are the Grow Light light bulbs. Then I hung up some decor, a mirror, added some more plants to the area, put a hook in the ceiling, and added my light fixture. I am so happy on how this little corner of my house is turning out, and I can't wait to see how these plants grow with the new light. Plus now I got this little cute whimsical pendant light fixture that adds so much personality to my space. So what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this build, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my next awesome build. And remember, build loud, build wild, and have an awesome day.